G'day gang, and welcome to Create PT Wealth's webinar for today. And today the topic of conversation is talking all about overcoming objections in the sales process. And I call this part one in this series because so many different ways that we can have a look at this particular type of presentation. The one that stays close to my heart, because in 17 years of being a personal trainer, I often hear these objections still popping up frequently today from people, and the art and the skill of learning how to address these is an incredibly important one. I call this part one because what I'll be teaching you today is how to handle your sales conversation to avoid the dreaded objection. So what today's will be all about is how to have an appropriate conversation in your sales process which avoids the dreaded objection. And what you want to do is have a look at methods that you can discuss these objections up front, which gives you a chance also to overcome them up front. So I'm going to get straight into it. Now, would it be safe to say that I can't give you everything in around about the next half an hour to 45 minutes? What I will be doing along the way is I'll be making some suggestions and recommendations. So what that might mean is I might ask you to consult some resources. I might ask you to do some practice. There might be certain things that I make recommendations on. It would be against my values if I didn't do that. Of course, in half an hour to 45 minutes, it's very challenging for me to give you all the information you need to become an expert in this area. Those of you who haven't met me yet, that's my bald mug on the screen. Brad Shepherd's my name, co-director of Create PT Wealth. As discussed, been in the industry for a very long time, for 17 years. Run a business in Brisbane here called Peak Physique for the last 17 years. Over that time, have changed the way that I earn my income as a personal trainer. You'll see back there in 1995, which is a very long time ago now, started charging $30 per session and now charge $440 per session. Quite dramatically different in that time. Over onto the left-hand side of the screen, similarly, the number of client hours that I've worked has changed dramatically as well. And what used to happen many years ago is it took me a while to get my wheels in motion as a personal trainer, but then I got incredibly busy and in high demand and was doing up to 41-hour sessions per week. Reached a point in my career where I was burnt out. I wanted to quit. I wanted to give up, and fortunately was able to get myself exposed to powerful business systems, which made a huge difference in how I saw my business. What you'll notice there is that as those hours drop, my income inversely went up. So I ended up doing less PT sessions. These days I do anywhere between about 6 and 10 personal training appointments per week. Also co-run Create PT Wealth, and you've somehow come into our circle here at Create PT Wealth, and I'd like to welcome those of you who it's your first time with us. Really, at Create PT Wealth, our model, we would say, involves a 3-step process, which involves, first of all, the personal development side of it, which is on your left-hand side of the screen, which is how to create never-ending success by identifying any potential roadblocks that could hijack your success or sabotage your progress. Up the top, we take the business systems. We take the proven business systems, which will enable you to plug those into your business, which will enable you to earn the income that you so desire and no doubt deserve. And then finally, down on the right-hand side, there you'll see it's having the accountability. So it's having a coach there every single step of the way. Exactly the same reason why you yourself have a coach, and exactly the same reason why I should say your clients come to you as their coach, because they have got somebody with them every step of the way. Many of the logos that are appearing on your screen now, I'm assuming that you're probably familiar with. This is many of the preferred suppliers that we do business with. We present at the major conventions, including Filex. We present at I write for UltraFit magazine. We present inside the major health clubs, your Phoenixes, your Jets, your Fitness Firsts, etc. I also have the privilege of sitting on the Reps Council of Fitness Australia and get to have a close connection with all the developments that happen in our industry. So in many ways you'd say that at Create PT Wealth we've got our finger on the pulse, and we certainly know what's happening out there. So if I put that word up on the up on the screen. And you know, for many people that word can be a bit of an ugly one. Many trainers aren't that fond of this particular word. It can bring up all sorts of different types of emotions, all sorts of different type of feelings. We've run a 2-day business building boot camp around Australia for the last 4 years. We've educated well over 2,000 trainers in that program. And every time I bring this slide up on the screen, the responses that I get around Australia are quite powerful ones. In many instances, it brings up some negative thoughts and feelings, which can range from people feeling like a salesman, can feel like an insurance salesman or a car salesman, can feel pressure, can feel stress, can bring up words like feeling greedy, feeling money hungry, etc., etc. Just that particular word alone. And for many people, it can conjure an image that represents a little bit like old mate on the screen here. So the stereotypical, you know, slippery, slimy salesman who's got a deal in store for everyone. One thing we find is that in amongst all the trainers around Australia, there's 40,000 personal trainers within Australia, and in amongst the 40,000 trainers, like I said, many of them really get the mentality that, hey, I'm a trainer, you know, I'm good at what I do, i.e. I'm good at training clients, and I'm not so great at being a salesman or a salesperson. And so what our method's all about is being able to eliminate this concept of having to feel high pressured about the sell, but instead move into this word here and what we call it as a solution provider. Now, I'm assuming that for most of you, which is the case for the 2,000 plus trainers we've taught this method to around Australia, is that word in the red, the solution provider, probably sits a little bit better, probably sits a little bit more comfortably than the word sales above it. And effectively, that's what we do. You know, we provide solutions to people's problems, and so really what we need to identify then is what are the problems that these people are having that we can solve. So today's all about overcoming any of these objections or any of these roadblocks, so you can get along with someone and do business with them. Now, people will do business with those that they know, they like, and they trust. So what you want to happen is you want people to get to know you, you want people to get to like you, and of course you want to get people to trust you. And this is all part of the process that we speak of now. So I'm going to run through the typical objections. I'm assuming that many of you have been exposed to these before. So the first one up the top, number one, I want to ask my partner. Number two, the second one underneath that, the price, it costs too much. So that objection of price popping up. The third one down, I want to think it over. And then finally, the fourth one down being I want to check out the competition. So I'm going to be running through these. So today's session, like I said, is all about the important points that we want to cover in the initial meeting, in the very first meeting. So the first one, I need to ask my partner or my spouse or my husband or my wife. So as you're running through your new client meeting, and I want to just paint a picture for everybody. I'm assuming that for most of you, you'd be familiar with having some type of process where you run a consultation type session, where you sit your potential client or your prospect down, and you have a conversation with that person. And during that conversation, it enables you to open up the pathways and open up the opportunity for you to find out as much information as possible. There's essential information that you want to uncover about your potential prospects, and it's really your duty and your responsibility to be covering off on that, to be speaking to those people. So during this conversation, here's some of the important points that you want to be covering off on. So question number one, is your partner supportive of your goals? So if someone's rocked up to their first new client sales meeting with you, one of the most important questions, is your partner supportive of your goals? So you want to find out, look, does that person know that you're here today? Does that person know that you're making a decision on your health and fitness moving forward? Is your partner also supportive of you emotionally and financially? Because what we want to uncover right up front, if someone's there making a decision on their health and well-being, is, are we going to get to the end of this process, and is the person going to respond by saying, oh, well, look, what I do need to do is go and ask my partner, I need to run this by them, etc. So what we want to find out, we want to start digging deep and finding out, okay, does this person's partner give them full support? If the answer is no, straight away we can start to explore a bit more. Maybe you need to get that partner in to have the meeting as well. Maybe you need to get that partner in to have the conversation, and to save yourself a lot of time. I know this has certainly worked well for me, is that some of these questions I can ask, I can pre-qualify somebody on the phone. So if I've got a potential prospect that I've been dealing with on the phone, and we've locked in an opportunity for us to meet, and during that meeting is when we're going to go through the process. What I will ask them is, does your partner know that you're coming along to the meeting? And if the answer is yep, the next question would be, is your partner supportive of your goals in terms of what you're after? Yep. And is your partner supportive of you both emotionally and financially? Really powerful questions. Next one here, does your partner know that you're here today and making a decision in regards to your health and fitness? So, take it from me, after 17 years of running these type of sessions and these type of meetings, I've certainly learned the hard way. I've had many instances many years ago where I would not pre-qualify somebody, or I would not ask these questions, and I get to the very end and it would be time for the person to make the decision and for them to effectively sign on the dotted line, and they would then say to me, oh, well, look, I haven't even told my partner that I'm coming to this today. And, so my response to that would then be, one of concern. Internally I would have felt somewhat defeated, going, okay, this seemed like a bit of a waste of time. So the more that you can uncover these questions up front, the better it's going to be for you. The next thing, does your partner want to see you happy with your body shape? So again, going into these what we call emotional trigger type questions, because I'm sure the response to that for most people is going to be, for many people, their partner is going to be the one that encourages them to get into it. I know personally, when I've invited someone's partner along to one of our initial meetings, more often than not, it's the partner who's the one that's, been encouraging that person to get into it and to get kicked off. Next, and last point really is the question to you is, what part does the partner play in all this? Do you need to have a meeting with both of them? And that's, that in itself is just an incredibly powerful one, because like I said, can save you lots of time and energy if you uncover some of this information first. Now remember that we're all at the moment, and today what we're talking about is part one of this process, the questions and the information that you want to be uncovering up front. Next one we're going into is the topic of price. So the price, it costs too much or I can't afford it. So here's the type of questions that you want to be asking in that upfront initial meeting. Do you have a budget with what you'd like to spend on getting in shape? Or have you allocated a budget towards getting in shape? And that particular question there can open up to a series of different responses and different questions. It can become a workshop in itself. So if you ask someone, look, have you got a budget with what you'd like to spend on getting in shape or achieving this goal? You've mentioned you want to lose 10 kilos by June the 30th, and so that you can look fantastic for that wedding. Well, look, have you allocated a budget on what you would like to invest in that happening? If the person responds and says, well, not really, I just really want to find out more about it, it enables you an opportunity to dig a little bit deeper and to ask them some more probing questions, and to say, well, have a think about it. Like, what would you be prepared to spend on yourself if you could lose those 10 kilos? What would it be worth to you? And again, if the person's trying to avoid answering the question, maybe you can start exploring where they're currently spending money. I know I've certainly turned that particular question into a mini exercise or a mini coaching session, you might say, where I've actually gone through the person's food for the week. I've got them to tell me everything that they eat. We write it down, and where they're buying takeaway coffees, where they're buying lunch, where they're buying breakfasts, etc., etc., and we make a list and we put a price against all these things, and at the end of it we come up with quite a comprehensive figure for many people. So it's just one example of how you can work that particular question there. Next question there is, do you have people around you? It could be family, spouse, partner that can contribute or support you. So in many instances, they might be going, well, look, I'm struggling to, struggling to get this thing kicked off. But the question you can put back on them and say, look, maybe is there someone who can support you or who can contribute to this becoming a success for you? Because if we're back to that thing, I want to touch into someone's emotional trigger as much as possible. You want to get people off their arse and actually taking some action. This one's a great one. What's the cost of not doing anything? So, for the last 10 years, you've mentioned that you pretty much haven't done any activity at all. Over that time, you've gained, over 25 kilos. And the question is, what's the cost of you not doing anything at all? What's the potential cost for you, for your health in the long term over the next 5, 10, 20 years, etc.? So those ones, you can see some of those questions are getting a little bit, for want of a better word, deeper. And I should make mention of this for everyone who's listening to this program, is that these questions can sometimes, the first time that you see them or the first time that you read them, can seem a little bit confronting. I would definitely say if you haven't had much practice in asking these questions, then it would definitely be something that you'd want to have some practice in, and by practice I mean by doing some type of role playing. And the best way to do that is to get together with somebody else. Could be your partner, spouse, friend, whoever, someone that you work with, and you can just bounce these questions off each other. Repetition, becomes the mother of skill, and it's all about being relaxed whilst you're having these type of conversations. Because for some people, these might be uncomfortable conversations to have, or questions that you would prefer not to ask. But on the flip side, I guess the question is what's the cost of not doing anything at all? What's the cost of not asking these questions? Well, I would only have to ask most of you, how many times have you had a potential client not sign up with you or not get started? And if that's the case, what's how much money is potentially walked out of your business for that happening? Next one, I need to think it over. So, this one's a pretty powerful one. So you're going through your whole process, and we get to the very end, and the person says, look, this all sounds good. I like what you're offering, but I probably need to go and think it over. So what we want to do is we want to, by the following questions, avoid this response coming up. So one of the statements that we've got here, embarking on a weight loss program requires an action to be taken, and at that point in time you want to have them agree with it. So at the end of this particular meeting, I'm going to be asking for a decision. So I'm either going to be asking for a yes or a no. So either way, you're going to have to take some action. So really what you're saying there with that particular statement is that, look, some people will get involved in this, some people will get involved in this program. Some people won't. However, at the end of the day, you're not going to have any control over that. But what you want to do is you want to get on top of that straight away. You want to find out, you want to stop people from sitting on the fence and get people to start taking action. Next one, I notice here, Johnny, that you've been thinking about this for 5 years. That one's quite a powerful one. So to get to that point in time, to get to that particular question, what you want to do is, of course, you would want to ask them question along the line of, look, how long's it been since you've exercised, and how long have you been thinking about embarking on this program, and how frequently. Another question on that falls under that category would be, how frequently have you thought about this? Could it be daily? Could it be several times a day? What you'll find for many people who are embarking on a weight loss regime is that they've probably thought about this many, many, many times, and for some people it can happen several times an hour. So pretty powerful one there. So I noticed, look, Johnny, that you've been thinking about this for the last 5 years, and you indicated that it's something that crosses your mind. Not 10 minutes goes by when you don't think about it. Well, look, now's your time to take some action. Now's your time to make this happen. Okay, next one is, I need to speak to the competition, or, I need to speak to others or check out the competition. So the type of question that you want to ask straight up is going, well, look, at the moment, I would certainly like to do business with you, but my question to you is, am I in competition with anyone else for your business? Are you speaking to any other trainers at the moment? Now, if you're sitting there and thinking, well, I probably don't want to put that into their head that they're going to go and ring up the trainer next door, I would remove that thought, and just what you're doing is you're showing the person that you're a confident business owner, that you're serious about gaining this person's business and doing business with them and changing their life. And what you need to know is you need to find out, who they are speaking to, because maybe there is something about your product or your service that is superior to what's being offered by the person down the road. Next thing you know, how'd you find out about us? What led you to speaking with us? So I'm assuming that you're probably asking that question anyway when you first get some type of lead into your business. You want to find out exactly where did this person come from? How are my marketing efforts working? Was it from a referral? Did this person respond to a lead generation ad that I had on Google Ads or Facebook? Did this person come to me via an organic search of our website? So what you want to find out there is which part of your marketing is actually working there, and really what led you to speaking with us. So there was a reason that caused this person to take action and to make contact with you, and ideally what you want to do is you want to find out what that is. And the next one here is, can you explain to me what it is that you are looking for with a personal trainer? What if you could wave the magic wand? What would this program look like? How many days a week would it be? How often would you train? What type of exercises would you see yourself doing, etc., etc. And what you're enabling that person to do via this question, you're enabling them to start to tell the story. You're enabling them to start to paint the picture of what this program is going to look like, and especially them working with you. So when we move into part 2, responses to the objections, so what I want to do is just go backtrack a little bit there. So let's just have a look at these 4 points again. So these typical objections that come up all the time. So, I want to ask my partner. Next one is the price. It costs too much. Third one is I want to think it over. And fourth one is I want to just, shop around, do a bit of tire kicking, check out some of the competition. The whole purpose of today's session is for you to get your head around this concept of removing these objections even before they pop up. So it's the whole concept of being able to discuss the objections up front, be comfortable with somebody having these objections in the first place, because objections in many ways are signs that the person wants to take action. It's a sign that the person is interested, and really what they're doing is they're proposing to you, they're really qualifying what your product and your service is going to be like. So the more you can address these up front, the more impact you're going to have in your business. Okay, so when we move into responses to objections, sometimes it can seem like a bit of a challenging scenario in going, okay, what's the next step here? And like I said, you know, it would be against our values if we didn't pass on some of this information to you. So what we'd like you to do, and this is, you know, especially for our people down in Melbourne who are on the webinar today, what we'd like to show you is our processes on, you know, how to have a killer sales process, you know, how to market yourself as the obvious best choice as a personal trainer, especially in your local area. Like I said before, 40,000 different trainers across Australia, and the question is what's going to help you stand out from the pack. You know, how to get paid more for what you do. I'm assuming that's something that would at least interest most of you is, you know, if you're currently charging $50 per session, how can you get to a charge out rate of $60 per session, or how can you get to a charge out rate of $70 per session? Next thing is, you know, how to identify what is holding you back from having it all in life. So, you know, identifying some of those self-sabotaging behaviours that could potentially roadblock any of your success. And, you know, the mindset on what it takes to earn a six-figure plus income as a personal trainer. So, like I said, we would like to, you know, give you a greater level of education in this area, and where we can move into this whole concept of the sales processes in more detail. How do we do it? Well, we run a 2-day workshop. It's called How I Earned Over $100,000 in Less than 12 Months as a personal trainer, at the same time as working less than 20 hours per week, and we would like to invite you to come along to it. The ticket itself is valued at $597, and what our offer to you is, for you being on this webinar today, we'd actually like to give you a ticket to this event. So we would like to invite you along to this just for you being here today. And what do you need to do to register for that? The seminar dates you can see there. We've got one happening in Melbourne. It's on Friday the 30th of this month, so that's about a fortnight away from this Friday, and Saturday the 31st of March. We have one happening in Sydney on the 18th and 19th of May. So my recommendation to you is that do whatever it takes to get there. So if that means you need to, you know, move dates, shift clients, change your schedule, do whatever it takes to get there. Those 2 days are jam-packed with our main teaching concept and what it takes to build, you know, to become a six-figure plus personal trainer. So just 2 weeks away for the Melbourne gang, and plus, you know, if you register today, we're also going to throw in a special bonus for you, and that special bonus that we'll throw in for you is what we call the Optimal Training Methods video program. Optimal Training Methods is a technical skills training video that I've compiled, which outlines some of my top functional strength training exercises, at the same time as I have Australia's leading leading physiotherapist come in and talk about where to touch, feel and palpate on the muscles, so you are able to understand the stability and control elements of major functional exercises. There's some of the top functional exercises I use with my high-paying clients, so I'd definitely like you to get your hands on that, and as part of that program we'll give you a bonus 7 CEC points. So that's our gift for you just by registering today. So not only do we give you the ticket to the event, which is valued at $597, that Optimal Training Methods program we speak of is valued at $280. So you add those two up together, and it gets you right up around about the $900 mark in terms of value. Now you might be going, well, hold on, what's the catch? Why are you giving all this away to us? Well, look, we don't call it a catch, but what we do call it is a condition, and we have a few conditions to those of you who are going to get your hands on this info. First of all, because you're part of this webinar, you get to receive special offers from us, and it's, you know, because you're part of our group, you might call it a bit like a club. You get to receive special offers. The second condition is, look, we only want personal trainers and business owners out there who are dead set serious about skyrocketing their income and earning well over that 100 grand plus in personal income and for their business. Next thing is that we will need some type of commitment to reserve your seat. So the way that our two-day events work is that we sell tickets to that event. Like we said, those tickets are valued at $597. So there will be a number of people in that event who have actually paid to be there. And what happens is we've only got a limited number of seats in each room where we run a seminar. And so what that means is if you put your hand up and say you would like to reserve one of those seats, we're happy to give that to you at no cost as being part of this seminar. However, what we're going to ask for you, the commitment we're going to ask for is for you to provide your some sort of credit card detail for security, and we have a cancellation policy, exactly the same way that we would expect you would have a cancellation policy with your clients. What you would need to do is you would need to provide us with those credit card details, and you would only get charged if you didn't turn up. And that cancellation policy rate is $197. So basically what you're saying to us is if you stick your hand up and say, yep, I'd like to have one of those, you're giving us your commitment 100% that you're going to be there. You're going to be taking the seat of somebody that would have otherwise paid. And if you don't turn up, then what you're saying is you're happy to pay that cancellation policy. And, really we want you to show us why you deserve this ticket, because we, we value these highly. We value our information highly. And we want to make sure that that the process is working for everyone. So there's quite a number of you on the webinar today. We've put forward only 7 spots available for our upcoming workshops. What you would need to do to get your hands on that is to contact Paul. There's a couple of ways you can do that. You can copy this email down, which is Paul, Paul.Stonehouse, STONEHOUSE, at create, CREATE, PT, wealth, WEALTH.com.au. Or alternatively, you can feel free to give him a call directly, and the number is 07 5641 1113. Another way you can get your hands on that is for you to just simply hit reply to the email you received about this webinar. So you would have received an email more than likely from Lynn confirming this. So if you just want to hit reply on that webinar and just say, yes, please, I'd like to get my hands on one of those on that offer, then that's definitely an option for you as well. So like I said, it's almost $900 in value, $877. You've got the 2 programs there, one being the optimal training methods, the next one being the ticket to our 2-day event, and you remember the dates that we had for Melbourne and Sydney. So what's the next step? Of course, you need to be one of the first 7 people to express your interest. We will require that you read and agree with our cancellation policy. And we've got limited numbers at our seminars, so you really need to secure your seat, and the preference will be given to those that have bought a ticket, and I'm sure that you can all understand that. So we really look forward to sharing our tools, our tips and our tactics with you. And at this point in time, I'd just like to say thank you very much, those of you who have given up your time to be here today. I look forward to having you along to one of our events. Got a number of you on the line, and like I discussed before, there seems to be a pretty low level of background noise. I'm happy to open it up to some questions by people in the group, so feel free to shoot. No, seems to be silent on the end of the line. So I'm assuming that everyone's reasonably happy. Is that someone who was going to ask a question?
Yep.
Yeah.
As someone who's not yet qualified as a personal trainer, would I be relevant for this?
My response to that would be that in many ways it'd be an ideal time for you to get your hands on the information. The reason being is that you know, why get out there and start making mistakes when you can just start off with the correct strategies in place. We've had a number of people who have come to our programs who have been in that very spot, and that would definitely be my recommendation, is that, you know, no matter whether you've been out there doing it for 10 years or whether you're just kicking off, then the content is definitely going to be relevant to you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? No, that's great. Well, look, from the team at Create PT Wealth, certainly look forward to seeing you guys along to our gig. For the Melbourne people, certainly look forward to seeing you in Melbourne in a couple of weeks' time. And from me, I will say I'll be closing off and saying thank you very much, and look forward to seeing you soon. Bye-bye, gang.
Thank you.